You know, data without action is, well, it's just trivia. So you've done all that hard work assessing your company's nature-related risks. Awesome. But now comes the most important question of all. What are you actually going to do with that information? Today, we're diving deep into the prepare phase of the TNFD's LEAP approach. This is where we turn all that analysis into a real strategy with real-world impact. All right, here's our game plan. We're going on a little journey from abstract analysis to concrete action. We'll start by talking about that mindset shift. Then, we'll get into something called the mitigation hierarchy. Just think of it as a strategic staircase. We're going to climb each step, and by the end, you'll see exactly how to set and track powerful, science-based targets that actually make a difference.
So let's kick things off with the most crucial transition there is, moving from knowing to doing. The prepare phase is really the engine that drives this whole thing. It's all about helping you build a strategic response to everything you've uncovered so you can communicate your progress with real confidence.
And this slide right here asks the million-dollar question, doesn't it? I mean, a brilliant assessment that just gathers dust on a shelf? That helps absolutely no one. The prepare phase is your roadmap. It takes you from just passively understanding the issues to actively managing them, turning all those insights into a tangible plan.
Okay, so how do you actually structure all this action? Well, the great news is the TNFD doesn't just leave you guessing. It provides a really powerful core strategy, and it's called the mitigation hierarchy. Let's break it down.
Now, this is important. This is not just some buffet of good ideas where you can pick and choose what you like. The mitigation hierarchy is a sequence for a reason. It actually forces you to prioritize, starting with the most impactful actions first. It ensures you don't just jump to easier but less effective solutions.
And here's what gives this framework so much weight. It wasn't just invented out of thin air. The TNFD very smartly aligned it with the Science-Based Targets Network, or SBTN. And that connection is absolutely critical, because it grounds your entire strategy in globally recognized science, which makes it credible to investors, to regulators, and to your customers.
All right, with that foundation set, it is time to start climbing. Let's walk through each step of this action staircase and see what it actually looks like in practice.
This visual just lays it out so perfectly. See, it's a staircase, because you can't just leap to the top. You have to start at the bottom with avoid, then you move to reduce, and so on. Each step really builds on the last, creating this logical, powerful progression of action.
The first priority, the absolute ground floor of our staircase, is avoid. Honestly, this is the most powerful action you can possibly take. It's about fundamentally challenging your business model and asking, can we design this negative impact out of the system entirely? It's about designing problems out of existence, not just fixing them later.
And here's a fantastic real-world example of what that means. Imagine a factory that implements a totally closed-loop water system. By recycling and reusing its water, it can avoid drawing from local rivers or aquifers at all. It has effectively eliminated its impact on local fresh water. That's avoidance.
But, okay, what if you can't avoid an impact completely? Well, that brings us to step 2, reduce. If you can't eliminate a problem, you have an obligation to minimize it. This is really the world of optimization, using better tech, smarter processes, and efficiency gains to shrink your negative footprint as much as you possibly can.
Okay, now we start to pivot from playing defense to playing offense. After you've avoided and reduced harm, you start actively doing good. We have two related ideas here: regenerate and restore. Think of it this way. Regenerate is about making working lands, like farms, healthier. Restore, on the other hand, is a bit more ambitious. It's about bringing a damaged ecosystem back to its original, healthy state.
Oh, and this is such a great example. Look at what Reckitt did. They didn't just jump straight to planting trees. First, they focused on mitigating the negative impacts in their latex supply chain. That's the avoid and reduce steps. Only after that did they move on to actively restoring the surrounding forests. That is the hierarchy in action applied perfectly.
And here we are at the very top of our staircase, transform. This is the ultimate goal. It's about recognizing that your company doesn't operate in a vacuum. This step challenges you to become a force for bigger, systemic change, advocating for better policies, collaborating with competitors, even creating new financial models that benefit all of nature.
Look, a great strategy is pretty much meaningless if you can't measure success. So how do you know if your actions are actually working? That's where science-based targets come in. It's time to make this measurable.
You know, good intentions just aren't enough. You need targets with some teeth. A really strong, credible target has 4 key ingredients:
You need a clear baseline, where you're starting from. You need a specific deadline, when are you going to achieve it. You need interim checkpoints, right, to stay on track. And most importantly, all of it has to be rooted in the best available science.
A target is just a number on a page until you actually start tracking it. So our final section is all about turning that strategy into a living, breathing reality through consistent progress tracking.
And this is where the magic happens. A simple dashboard like this can be incredibly powerful. By visualizing your key targets, like reducing water use or restoring habitats, you can see your progress in real time. Those little progress bars make the whole journey tangible and, frankly, incredibly easy to communicate.
And this, right here, is the payoff. This simple act of visualization transforms those vague promises into hard data. It creates reportable performance metrics that you can confidently share with your most important stakeholders, your investors, your customers, and yeah, the regulators who are watching your every move.
But here's maybe the most critical insight of all. It has to be a closed loop. The metrics you track on your dashboard can't be random. They must tie directly back to the specific risks and impacts you identified way back in the beginning. This connection ensures you're not just busy, you're being effective, tackling the issues that matter most.
So in the end, it all really comes down to this question. Is your nature strategy just a well-meaning document sitting in a folder somewhere, or is it a measured reality? The prepare phase, with its clear hierarchy and its demand for data, is the bridge that takes you from intention to impact, creating a future that is accountable, transparent, and truly positive for nature.